In the same week, on two different fields, the same impossible thing happened twice. One man, 38 years old, bent his country toward a record no footballer had ever held. Another, 41, did something nobody on earth has ever done at this tournament. For 20 years, we argued about which of them was greater. We never stopped to ask the only question that matters now. What happens to a rivalry when both kings reach the end of the road at exactly the same time? This is their last World Cup. Both of them. And it is happening right now. To understand the weight of this moment, you have to remember what they were. For the better part of 2 decades, football did not have one son. It had two. Every award, every record, every argument in every bar on every continent split down the same line. You were one or the other. They pushed each other to heights the sport had never seen, season after season, goal after goal, refusing to let the other rest. A whole generation grew up never knowing a world without both of them at the very top. And now that world is about to end. Start with the man in sky blue. Lionel Messi arrived at this World Cup as the defending champion, the one who had already finished his story in the most perfect way imaginable. He did not need to come back. He came back anyway at 38 for a 6th World Cup that nobody owed him and nobody expected. And from the first whistle, something strange happened. The player who had supposedly given everything he had to give in the desert 4 years ago looked somehow like he had saved a little more for one final encore. Then came the night against Austria and a number that had stood for 12 years. Miroslav Klose, the great German poacher, had scored 16 goals across 4 World Cups. It was supposed to be untouchable, the kind of record you read in a book, not one you watch fall in real time. And then Messi struck, and the count ticked to 18, and just like that, the all-time leading scorer in the history of the Men's World Cup was a 38-year-old Argentine who refused to leave the stage. And he was not finished there. On his 200th cap for Argentina against Algeria, he answered a milestone with a hat-trick. 3 goals on the night his country honored 200 appearances in that famous shirt. It was the kind of symmetry you cannot script. The further this tournament has gone, the more it has belonged to him. 5 goals so far, the most of anyone. The Golden Boot race running straight through the smallest man on the pitch. At 38, in his final World Cup, he is not fading out. He is leading the scoring. Think about what that means. There is no record left in front of him on this stage. He is the champion. He is the all-time top scorer. He is the leading goal scorer of the tournament he is currently playing. Every box a footballer could ever dream of ticking, he has ticked, and he is doing it as the oldest version of himself anyone has seen. Wear that number 10. The boy who once carried the unbearable weight of expectation now plays completely free. There is nothing left to prove, which is exactly what makes him so terrifying. Now cross to the other half of the sky, deep red, the maroon of Portugal, and the man who has spent his entire career refusing to accept any limit anyone tried to place on him. Cristiano Ronaldo is 41 years old. 41. Most players his age are coaching, commentating, retired with their feet up. He came to a 6th World Cup carrying a body that science says should have stopped years ago, and a will that has never once listened to science. If Messi's story is about freedom, Ronaldo's is about pure, stubborn, magnificent defiance. And in the group stage, he wrote a line in the record books that no human being had ever written before him. A goal at this World Cup meant he had now scored at 6 different World Cups, stretching all the way back to 2006. 6 tournaments, 20 years of arriving at football's biggest stage and finding the net every single time. Nobody had ever done it. Not Pelé, not Klose, not Maradona, not a single one of the legends who came before. Cristiano Ronaldo stands completely alone on that mountain. It got more absurd from there. Portugal came through their group, a tense 1-1 draw with DR Congo, then a thunderous 5-0 against Uzbekistan, and in that storm, Ronaldo became the oldest player in World Cup history to score more than once in a single game. 41 years and 138 days old, putting 2 goals past a defense young enough to be his children. It is the sort of statistic that sounds like a typo. It is not. It is just him doing at 41 what most men cannot do at 25. And so another old record quietly fell. Eusébio, the Black Panther, the king of the 1960s. The man who carried Portugal to glory before Ronaldo was even a dream. 9 World Cup goals for his country, a number that had defined Portuguese greatness for 2 generations. Ronaldo reached 10 and passed him and became his nation's all-time leading World Cup scorer. He is the most decorated international goal scorer the men's game has ever known. 145 goals for Portugal and still counting. Still, at 41, adding to a total that already belonged to nobody else. 145 international goals. Let that sit. No man has ever scored more for his country in any era, anywhere in the world. Where Messi has spent this tournament freed of all pressure, Ronaldo has spent it answering the only critic he has ever truly feared, which is time itself. Every goal he scores now is an argument against the calendar. And the calendar, for the first time in his career, is finally winning. Because no matter how many records he breaks, there is one fact even he cannot outrun. Here is the catch. The thing nobody wants to say out loud, even as both of them score and break records and look immortal under the lights. This is the end. Not the end of a season, not the end of a chapter. The end. These two men will never play another World Cup. The tournament is a knockout now, and a knockout has no mercy. One bad night, one cruel bounce, and the curtain comes down. Not just on a campaign, but on 20 years of the greatest rivalry the sport has ever produced. We are watching the last act in real time, and we do not know how many minutes are left. And that is what gives every touch its terrible beauty. We are not predicting who goes further. Nobody can. The brackets are open, both nations still standing, both kings still scoring. But the cold mathematics of a knockout means that very soon, perhaps in days, one of these stories ends with a long, slow walk off a pitch for the final time. Maybe both. There is no version of this tournament where they both go home as champions, and there may be no version where either does. The only certainty is the goodbye. We just do not know the date. So what do they leave behind? Lay the ledger out and it barely feels real. Messi, the defending champion, the all-time World Cup top scorer with 18, the leader of this tournament's golden boot, a hat-trick on his 200th cap. Ronaldo, the only man to score across 6 different World Cups, the oldest ever to score twice in a game. Portugal's record scorer passed Eusébio, 145 international goals that belong to him alone. Two men, two completely different paths, arriving at the same impossible summit in the same final week. But the records are not really the point, are they? The point is what they did to the rest of us. For 20 years, they forced each other to be impossible, and in forcing each other, they forced the whole sport upward with them. Children who never saw Pelé or Maradona will tell their own children about these two. About the arguments, the doubles, the trebles, the nights that did not feel real. The greatest gift a rival can give you is a reason to never stop. They gave each other that gift for 2 decades, and they gave the rest of us the show. So when one of them finally walks off that pitch for the last time, do not just watch the scoreline. Watch the walk. Because you are watching the closing of a door that has been open your entire footballing life, and it will never open again. We started by asking what happens to a rivalry when both kings reach the end at the same time. Now we know. It does not fade, it does not lose. It simply, finally ends. 2 kings, one last dance, and the only honest thing left to say is thank you.